on him of Yester year. We're in the Hebrew date Yud Chet Kislev, the 18th of Kislev. It marks the Hilula of a great Moroccan rabbi from Rabat. His name was Harab David ben Shimon, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. He was born in the English year 1826, passed away in the year 1879, approximately 53, 54 years of age. Now become a great rabbi, a great Torah educator in of itself. He was, let's say, the rabbi in Jerusalem representing the northern African countries in itself of the old Yishuv. He would write great Torah books connected to the land of Israel, and he established the neighborhood, the Machaneh Yisrael neighborhood in Jerusalem. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. Now, his father was a great merchant in Rabat in Morocco. He himself learned Torah under auspices of the great rabbis from Morocco in of itself, from the area of Rabat, including Rav Saadia Marji, very, very great rabbi in of itself. And he would actually learn, there was a Talmud Torah over there, and very much at a young age would actually be imbued in the highest level of Torah in of itself. He would eventually get married to Rabbanit Rachel. That was his name. She happened to be the daughter of Rab Masud Tzabach. And I think one of their children was Rabbi Raphael Aaron. Very interesting enough. I believe, Kamot, the year of 1854, he was about 28 years of age at that point in time. He would be Zocher and actually move to Jerusalem, one of the 4 holy cities of Israel, with various different of his Talmidim, his students, and become a leader of the Moroccan Jewish community over there, which is a very, very prominent position in of itself. So it was very, very incredible at that point in time. Remember, he actually had various different nicknames, including the Radbash and the Tzuf Dvash, which we will maybe brush upon in the next coming minutes in of itself. So many of his Talmudim disciples actually come with him to actually move to the land of Israel. I believe he was influenced very much so from a very great rabbi who also very much promoted Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, especially his name was Rabbi Yehuda Bibas, a rabbi we've spoken about before. I believe he himself was from Gibraltar, and let's just say one of the 4 founding runners of Zionism initially, and he would move in the year 1854. Many students will follow him. I think initially when he actually arrived to the land of Israel, he wanted to actually settle in the port area of Yaffo, to study Torah and focus on writing various different books within regards to praising Jerusalem and the land of Israel in itself. He planned to teach in various different yeshivot, and but eventually he would actually move to Jerusalem, as we will speak about soon. But Jerusalem obviously being one of the 4 holy cities of Israel, along with Tzfat, Tiberias, and Hebron, respectively. So it was really, really a fantastic move from his part. And he would actually do many, many great things. Came to Jerusalem. He established the Tzuf Dvash synagogue, reported over in the year 1860. So at that point in time, he was only 34 years of age. There was, at that point in time, I think the main community over there was quite a strong Sephardic community in of itself. He established also another community, which was העדה, המערבית בירושלים. This was, I think, with various different of his disciples, his Talmidim in himself. I think, come out the year 1867, he actually purchased, I think, a lot, let's just say in of itself, outside the city walls of the old city. I think it was called Machaneh Yisrael, this place. I think now this area in itself is called the North African Jewish Heritage Center, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully we will be privileged to visit that area on this channel as time goes on later on. So he would actually move there, and they would make him remember he was building more and more different Talmidim at that point in time, 2 synagogues, various different Batei Midrashim, house of studies, and other institutions were built in that specific area in of itself. Most of his Talmidim at that point in time were Moroccan. Naturally, he was from Rabat in of itself, and many of the Moroccan community would actually come from northern African countries, let's just say, in of itself, and would actually make Aliyah in of itself. And there was, as time was coming on, the community was building more and more and more. It's actually interesting. He would actually send a lot of shluchei derabanans, different people from Jerusalem, to raise funds to establish and to increase and to, let's say, mitchazek and grow the community himself. So they would go to various different Islamic countries. I think places such as, let's say, Turkey, Libya, Tunisia, all those Morocco, and he would use this specific money to aid, also to help within regards to charitable acts, within regards to helping the needy in of itself. Planned was to build various different institutions and to grow the community in of itself. Reported over, he would actually open a meat store where he could distribute meat to the poor. So it was very, very chesed orientated also. He took care, for example, of widows and orphans, and it was actually interesting. I think all the donations and expenses, there was a newsletter called Chabad Selet, if I'm not mistaken, and he would actually report and explain all his expenditures inside this specific newsletter in of itself. I think we've mentioned this newsletter on various occasions before. He would actually serve as a Rosh Yeshiva. He was also a rabbi and a posek, a rabbi that would render halachic decisions, Torah law decisions in of itself. In the Bet Din he established in himself. Many people from outside various different communities came actually to hear him speak and to study and learn from his auspices in of itself. I think he was a leader of a large community, and afterwards appointed a committee of 7 rabbis, who was reported over, who would assist him in leading the community. It's actually interesting enough, Sir Moses Montefiore also greatly assisted the community. Remember, we've spoken about Sir Moses Montefiore, one of the greatest philanthropists in Jewish history, without a doubt. Really, really great man in of itself. And even today, there's many buildings all over Israel and many places all over the world that is beneficiary from his excellent charitable and great works in of itself. He had left great descendants also. I believe Rabbi Raphael Harun ben Shimon was one of his sons. I think he lived actually between the years 1848 to 1928. He was, I believe, a Hacham Bashi, a chief rabbi of the Jewish community in Egypt. I think we've spoken about him before. And another son was Rav Masud ben Shimon, another great rabbi in himself. Actually, interesting enough, at the time of recording today, this morning I was in a synagogue in Israel, in the city of Bet Shemesh. I met one of his descendants, maybe from 4 or 5 generations back. He said he actually came from one of the descendants from Egypt, one of the great rabbis in Egypt. He must have been referring, I would assume, to Rabbi Raphael ben Shimon, because he happened to be the chief rabbi of, let's say, Egypt in of itself. So really, really great rabbi. And much more can be said within regards to him. Now, he passed away in English in 1879. He was buried in Har Hazeitim in Jerusalem. And I think afterwards, at that point in time, the community was headed by Rabbi Raphael Elazar ben Tubo, who happened to be a great rabbi in of itself, a rabbi we've spoken about also on various occasions before. And he was also a dayan, a Jewish judge of the congregation, and a, let's say, head rabbi in of itself. So very, very interesting in itself. I believe the various different institutions were put in his memory. I think one of them is called the Magen David, if I'm not mistaken. The Beit Knesset Sufa Dvash, I think an old city in of itself, was named after his name. So that's very, very interesting enough. Now, we said before that he actually founded the neighborhood called the Machaneh Israel. Very interesting enough. I think this was in the year 1860. Now, great Torah books in of itself he actually authored, which we will brush upon at this stage in time. He talked about the praise about why moving to Eretz Israel, the wonderness within regards to this fantastic country in itself. I think one of the first books he wrote was Sharei Tzedek, which was, I think, let's say, a gathering of the Radbash, all the various different quotations from Chazal in of itself, speaking about the praise, let's just say, of the land of Israel, which various different teachings, Chidushim, it was actually compiled in of itself. Very, very great book, which I would recommend everyone to, let's just say, to purchase himself. I think in 1862, he published the first volume of this called Sha'ar HaChatzer. It was a collection of commentaries of the sages regarding the Holy Land. And I think he would add his own commentaries also to it. The second volume was published, I think, after the Sha'ar HaMatareh. This was on the laws of the land itself. There was a third book connected to the Sha'ar HaKadim, which I think was in, let's say, introductions about matters pertaining to the land of Israel. I don't know if this was ever printed or not, or left in manuscript form. Then the Sha'ar HaMafkid, which was various different traditions of the land of Israel. I think it was actually edited by the great rabbi's son, Rabbi Raphael Aharon, and was published in Egypt, I believe, in the year 1908. Then there was the Sha'ara Takadim, which was about the commandments, let's just say, of the land, and the Sha'arei Tfilah contained like the various different prayers and the songs for various different special occasions. It's actually interesting. Rabbi David's responsa were included in a book by his son named Umitzur Davash. And I think there was also various different, let's say, divorce cases in which Rabbi David was involved, and they were summarized inside the book, the Shem Chadash. I think this was actually printed through his younger son, Harab Masud. The book, let's say, also includes various different poetry written by Rabbi David under the name Shir Chadash. Very interesting. I remember at that point in time, many of the great rabbis were poets, and really much, imbuing the Torah beauty and the Jewish beauty in these books in of itself. So very, very interesting enough. And he was close with many different rabbis. He would quote the famous Rabbi Chaim Pelagi from Turkey, which we've mentioned about on various different occasions before. And he passed away. He was only about, I believe, 53 years of age at the time he passed away. I think he had, that point in time, there was many, many great rabbis coming to the land of Israel. And he was definitely one of the forerunners, let's just say, of Zionism in himself, one of the unsung heroes, let's just say, of Medinat Yisrael history. And I would recommend everyone else to learn so much more about the great Chacham, about the great Rabbi. Please don't forget to light candles in the great Rabbi's memory. It will be on Yud Chet Kislev, the 18th of Kislev. And please, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about the great Sephardi Rabbanim of yesteryear. We've already covered about 530 rabbis and probably about 70, 80 rabbis from Morocco already in the series. Please, if you happen to be related to any of these great Rabbanim, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. Please, if you feel anyone would like to listen to these videos itself, please share it to other people that will be inspired. We are community here. We're growing here. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Wishing you all a Shavua Tov. I'm recording this just after Parshat Vayishlach here from Israel. Take care and have a great day.